Good morning, self-lovers. Welcome to the Self-Love Show. You know it is Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time because that's when the show runs. It's nice to have you here. And again, if you haven't seen us before, or you're not liking or subscribing or following us on YouTube or Spotify, I'll send those links in now. But I am so excited to introduce a really wonderful guest who's all about self-love. And so we're here with Karishma Gautam. Karishma is a fierce feminine leader, and through her unique and impactful courses based on the modalities like neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy, Karishma is passionate about women's empowerment. She's on a mission of helping 1 million women around the world by 2025 in falling in love with themselves. With the help of her courses, free trainings, and hypnosis audios, she encourages women on how to improve their self-worth, grow their self-esteem, and unapologetically put themselves first. Thank you, Karishma, for being here.
Thank you, Trish. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're here really late. You are in a very, very different time zone. So thank you so much for being here at 3 o'clock in the morning for you.
Thank you.
So the topic of the show today is about forgiveness. And what we're going to answer and what we're talking about today is what is forgiveness and how can forgiveness help us love ourselves? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, sure. So, to understand forgiveness, first we need to understand what is forgiveness, I think, to understand the importance of forgiveness. So, I will start with that. So, forgiveness is really the understanding that and I need to forgive myself or forgive the other person so that I can have that peace of mind. It's not about saying that we are condoning or accepting that what the other person has done was fair, which is it's often misunderstood by other people that they will say sometimes that why should I forgive that other person, he or she did xyz to me and I will never forgive them. And it's when we are not forgiving the other person, we are holding on to that anger and resentment in our heart, which is obviously affecting our immune system. It is affecting our health. It is not really doing much to the person we are refusing to forgive. In fact, the other person we are refusing to forgive probably doesn't have much, may not even have much awareness of the fact that we haven't forgiven them, and they have probably already moved on with their life while we are holding on to that anger, which is only affecting our health. It is damaging our immune system. So yeah, the forgiveness is the act of saying that I deserve my peace of mind, and I am not allowing you to have power over me by holding on to that anger and resentment in my heart. So yeah, I am forgiving you and moving on from this experience.
I think that the hard part about forgiveness for many people is that they feel like, I guess maybe that people should be punished, or people should have, like, there's some sort of retribution that should happen. And or I mean, there's lots of reasons why people would not want to forgive, but like that could be one of the things, or another of the things is that, like, that person hurt me really badly, I don't want to forget. And I think that the adage of like forgive and forget is kind of there. And so I wonder, is there a way to forgive without forgetting, or is there a way to forgive, for the sake of self, and um and also set more clear boundaries?
There are definitely ways to forgive without forgetting. In fact, like people often think that, like as you said, there is that adage of forgive and forget, and it is again, it goes both ways. Like people think that I don't want to forget that experience, because if I do, they get a chance to hurt me again. So I'm not allowing them a chance to hurt me again. So I won't forgive, because if I forgive, I may forget, and they get a chance to hurt me again. And it goes the other way down too. Like sometimes people will say that to forgive, I need to forget, and if I can't forget it, I can't forgive. And it's realizing that to forget something that has happened in our life, we probably need a memory which is like a really short term memory, that we forget everything that happened about 15 minutes ago. And we have every 15 minutes we are kind of forgetting everything that happened in the past. And we really need that kind of memory. Like I have my own experience around forgiveness, where uh, i uh, I lost my job a couple years ago before I started my business. And once after losing my job, and it was at that time I didn't really have much self love for myself. And I had to go through my own inner healing mm, and dark night of the soul. And uh, during that time, when I started to love myself, after that, when I started my business, it didn't really sit well with my dad. He was more of a 9 to 5 kind of thing. He believed in that work hard for money, and mm, work a 9 to 5 job and you are set for life, etc. He didn't really had that entrepreneurial mindset. And when I started my business, it didn't sit well with him. He was not happy, that he was kind of worried that my financial security is at risk because I'm doing this and I should probably be looking for another job. So he said a few mean words to me, like called me a failure and compared me to one of my cousins who were doing better than me in the corporate world. And so I was holding on to that anger for anger against him a lot. For about a year I was holding on to that anger, because again at that time I didn't had that understanding of forgiveness that I have now. And that anger eventually manifested as physical diseases in my body, because I was continuously suppressing that anger. And it's like, again, it's an emotion, it's an energy in motion which needs to keep moving in some or the other way. It needs to be released. And since I was not doing any work to release that anger, I was continuously suppressing it in my body. And I was being mad at my dad, not talking to him, and saying repeatedly in my head that how dare he call me a failure, I will prove him wrong. Who does he think of himself? How dare he did that to me? So that anger eventually manifested as physical diseases in my body, and I end up in the hospital for an operation. And that was really the light bulb moment, that what am I doing to myself? And my dad only called me a failure once, but it's me who is repeating that incident over and over again in my head. And I am probably hurting myself way more than what my dad may have hurt me, and kind of punishing myself for something that is not even my fault by holding on to that anger. So it's better to let it go.
I think that I love this story about, I mean, it's a, I don't love that your dad said those things to you, but I love that you really saw how your understanding of the situation and how you were holding on to it and how you were repeating it like really landed in your body. And I think one of the really most powerful things that we can understand is like how our emotions live in our body or how our memories live in our body. And and self-love practices or the emotional practices or the practices in therapy that you learn is really also to help you like remove those things out somatically. So thank you for bringing that in.
Thank you.
I think in some ways, some of these things are in stages of grief, right? That like and correct me if I'm wrong. It's like in some way, forgiveness is kind of a grief stage that you have to feel the feelings. You have to feel the anger, the sadness, the depression, the bargaining, the depth of grief and loss, and the rationalizations and the acceptance. And I don't know if this felt like that to you, but in some ways for me, forgiveness often looks like some aspect of a cycle of like trying to like unravel the things that either were said or did or like experienced, and to like, okay, move through that cycle of grief and then have like a period of chill and then move through another cycle of grief and then another chill, and until you like really look at that core belief that like touched whatever pain that touched.
Exactly. That's it's like peeling the layers of the onion and uncovering the things for which we need to forgive us, forgive other people, and letting go. And definitely, yeah, it's a cycle of grief and letting go and choosing to have peace of mind and prioritizing yourself instead of allowing someone else to have power over you by saying that like if you are holding on to that anger, if you are kind of repeating that incident that may have hurt you over and over again in your head, you are allowing that person to rent space in your head free of cost. They are kind of living in your head 24/7, and because you are thinking about that incident over and over again, so it's like giving your power away to that person, so taking your power back. And again, yeah, it's true that we need to feel all our emotions. So again, and the another thing about misunderstood definition of forgiveness is like people think that I shouldn't be angry, I shouldn't hold on to grudges. And yeah, it's firstly, it's yeah, it's not good, it's not probably the best thing to hold on to grudges. But firstly, judging yourself by saying that I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, that is probably something we need to forgive ourselves for. And secondly, yes, it's important to feel all the emotions. Anger is just as valid as happiness or any other emotion. So if you are feeling angry, it's important to feel that anger and possibly express it in some or the other safe way, maybe even beating the pillow and probably uh, screaming out loud, as long as it doesn't scare the other person around in the around you. Taking that anger out in some way or the other person, some or the other way, it's definitely important to feel it instead of saying that I shouldn't be angry, which is again like kind of suppressing that anger because you don't want to be angry instead of feeling that emotion. And as you feel that emotion, you slowly move to forgiveness as you after feeling and working on releasing that emotion.
Yeah, I think one of the things that has been one of the most harming ideas around the globe for many years is this idea of like stoicism and not showing emotion. I think it's really caused a lot of disease and like sickness and illness in our bodies because we're not sharing emotions, and that's um, manifesting. What you said is like manifesting as like a physical ailment. Um, One of the things I wanted to share is like for like letting the anger out and screaming, I like to do a silent hand scream. And I'll show you how to like do this. It's like, so you put your hands over your mouth, and you just breathe out like really like you'd be screaming but without sound. So it'd be like you shake your body
Okay.
and you give that a couple times. And like if you're angry in public, you can go to the bathroom and like express it out in the bathroom. It just sounds like a and it's like really getting that like frustration out. I used it last night because I'm also in a period of forgiveness around, like some deep heart stuff. Someone shared that they had really wanted to build a collaborative life with me, and when I called them on their actions not matching, they were like, "Oh, that was just in the future," and that really hurt my feelings a lot and created a lot of distrust. So I'm working on forgiving myself and forgiving that person and being more forgiving just in general to the ideas of, the understanding that people get to change their minds and not know what they want or what they need. But I'm curious, did you bring a tool or a practice that you'd like to share with the audience today?
Yes, it's firstly it's about feeling your emotions. So and that is one of the tools that you can use to learn to feel your emotions. And I do share an exercise on feeling your emotions along with while forgiving the other person in my to my clients, and I'm happy to share that with you today. And hopefully it will help the listeners and people watching us. Hopefully it will benefit them. So it's about really about taking out a piece of paper and put a line down the middle to divide the paper in half, and on the left side you write the name of the person you are trying to forgive. For example, it when I was working on forgiveness, it was about my dad. So if I was doing this exercise today, I will write my dad's name, or I will just write dad. And on the right side, write I am willing to forgive you. And so on the left side you go that I am so angry because you did XYZ. For example, for me, I am so angry because my dad called me a failure. And on the right side, and I am willing to forgive you. And maybe the next sentence after that is, no, screw you. You called me a failure. How dare you did that? On the left side, maybe that will be the next sentence that will come in your mind. So just writing that, and on the right side again, I am willing to forgive you. So it's again like on the left side you are feeling your emotions, you are expressing what you feel, and on the right side you are saying that while I'm feeling that, I'm also willing to forgive you. And it may take a couple of like you may need to do this exercise over and over again, and it's really about saying that you can be angry and you can still forgive. So it's not about you need to let go of your anger completely and then only you can forgive. You can be angry and still you can forgive. You can hold on to that anger and resentment that may be having in your heart, and you can still say that I'm choosing to forgive this person. And again, you may need to do this exercise a couple of times, again and again, but eventually, at one time, you will come to that place where you will, on the left side, also, you will say that, yes, I'm choosing to forgive this person, and on the right side, yes, I'm willing to forgive you. So, yeah, that was the one of the exercise I did when I was choosing to forgive my dad. And another one, it's a similar one like this one. It's like writing a forgiveness letter. You can kind of do both, or you can do either one of the two, because even in the forgiveness letter, you start by expressing your emotions. You start by saying what the other person did to you and how it made you feel, and letting all your anger out in the letter. And then after you have expressed all your emotions and how it how the other person hurt you, what happened, and what you expected the other person to do instead of what they did. You write about, you are choosing forgiveness and why are you choosing forgiveness, which is obviously about your peace of mind. So you can do either one of the two, or you can do both depending on where you are in your forgiveness journey. Because in both the exercises, you are really feeling your emotions first, and you are also saying, I am choosing to forgive that other person.
Mm, thank you for those. I think those are excellent like ways to wrap your mind around forgiveness. You know, like it's an incremental step. So it's not like, oh, I just have to forgive this person, but like what this happened. And then I'm just even just like reframing it to I'm willing to forgive them is a
Yes.
really powerful step. Like some people aren't willing,
Yeah,
you
exactly. And
know?
again, maybe you are again when you are doing that first exercise that I shared, if you are not willing, maybe just writing that uh, for example, if my clients come and say to me that I am not willing to forgive that other person, so I say to them, just write on the left side you write about your emotion, and on the right side you write about, I am choosing to be willing to forgive that other person,
Yeah.
or I am willing to be willing to forgive that other person. So I am still wanting to be willing, and eventually, as I write that letter, I will get to that stage where I am choosing forgiveness.
Yeah, again, it's so I often talk about willingness and capability. So are they capable or willing? And sometimes people are just not capable. Like I might not be capable of forgiving this experience right now, but am I willing? And that's, you know, they're very two different things. I can be willing and not capable, and I can be capable and not willing, or I can be capable and willing, which makes things a lot easier, but that's not always how this human experience works. So I love the like incremental steps. I'm willing to be willing
Yeah,
because you're here, like you're like in front of a coach asking for help, and you're like, well, I'm willing to be willing to forgive
exactly.
this person.
If you were not completely not willing, you probably wouldn't even have reached out to a coach. You probably wouldn't be watching a show which is talking about forgiveness if you were completely not willing. And
Exactly.
forgiveness is really like, if you break down that word, it's really saying thank you for giving me that experience. And it's really about choosing gratitude, understanding what that experience taught you. And again, if it was a really traumatic experience, it was kind of which really affected you in a really negative way, for example rape or something, domestic violence, abuse,
Yeah.
it's kind of difficult to find the gratitude for that experience. But if you do the word, go within, choose your inner healing, you will eventually get there where you will find the gratitude for that experience. For example, for me, when I did the work, I realized that my father was just worried about my financial security, and it was his love. He was really expressing his love underneath those mean words, and it was probably not the best thing to call your daughter a failure, but underneath those words were just his concern and love for me, that what will I do now that I've lost my job. So yeah, when I went deeper into that, what he meant by that, and he probably didn't know any better how to share his love for me. And
Yeah.
if he knew, he would have probably done better. It was probably the only way he knew how to express his love for me, by calling me a failure, because maybe that's how it has obviously something to do with his childhood upbringing as well. Maybe he was called a failure at some point, and
Yep.
He was meant to feel that calling him a failure will encourage him to do better, and he thought that way, that calling me a failure will encourage me to do better. So it's obviously about understanding, choosing gratitude, and like understanding what that experience taught you, and what did you learn from it, how did you become a better person because of that experience.
Yeah. I love that. It takes time to really take our painful experiences or our traumas and like see the positive or the benefit. And I have a lot of experiences, some pretty traumatic experiences that I would have to give trigger warnings before the show. Um, that like it took me a long time to really see why, like like what that was for me. And I think the compassion approach that you were just speaking of is like a really um trying to get into the other person's experience a little. Like why did they do that? I call them strategies to get their needs met. And so they like your dad's caring for you, right? It's a strategy. His like tough love, this term, like this tough love is a strategy to meet a need for him and to protect you, to love you. And it takes some time, to help when we need to decipher other people's actions and their words. So I think it's a really powerful experience. And I so appreciate you sharing the experience with your dad and the tools that you brought today. I think this is incredibly helpful. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your website and your programs.
Sure. So I'm a self love coach, as we have already shared. I help women with embracing self love, raising self confidence, etc. And I on my website, they can go on my website elevateselflove.com to find out more about me, to get my free ebook by entering their name and email address on my website. And they can reach out to me via Facebook, and share, hopefully share what they learned from this session, what were their favorite takeaways from this, what did they got from this. And I do have a free offer, and I would love to invite your audience if they are interested in it. So it's a 5-day free challenge, 5-day free self-love challenge with me, where we work one on one for 5 days, and I share more about the forgiveness, self-love, self-care, letting go of limiting beliefs, etc. And I share more about my exercises and my tools about embracing self-love with them. So it does have an application process though, because it's one on one, and I have limited time, and since I'm doing it for free, so it does have an application process. So if they are interested, and the application process is just reaching out to me on Facebook, and if they are possibly watching this show, or they will watch this show, so let me know your favorite takeaway, what you learned from this, and just tell me that you would like to know more about joining my challenge. And the application process is just, I will ask you a couple questions to make sure we are a right fit to work together, and if we are, we will do it. If we are not, I will probably give you a few uh, tools or something else that may benefit you in your journey of forgiveness and self love.
That's very generous.
Thank you.
Find Karishma's all her links. I put them in the chat and put them in the comment section. So again, it's elevateselflove.com, and you can find Karishma Gautam on Facebook. And again, those links are in the chat. Karishma, thank you again for your time and getting up so early to share your love with the world. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm glad I got this opportunity to be with you. I was really, like, I was doubting that shall I schedule this interview like at 3 a.m. Can I get up or not, or what if I don't get up on time? But I'm glad I went ahead with it, and I'm glad my alarm woke me up.
Me too.
Thank you.
uh, thank you again for trusting and for showing up. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And so let's just give a little shout out to Dawn Light, my co-host, who's usually here, but wherever she is in the world, just leave her some love. And one of the people that, like, two of the people that I really want to send love to again is Roy and Russell, our team, who shows up every week to make amazing graphics so that Karishma can get, put those all in the world. Roy, Russell, thank you so much for being here and being part of the self-love team. Thank
Thank
you to
you.
Scott. Yeah, thank you to Scott Katamas, Love Coach Academy, and Global Peace Tribe for being our muse. And really, thank you again to all of you for showing up for your self-love. And we'll see you same time, same place next week. Have a great week, y'all.